Good morning, Chair and members. My name is Ibrahim Mohammed Adan, CC Finance and Economic Planning.
Good morning, members. My name is Abdikadir Tache. I'm the County Chief Officer for Accounting Services.
Good morning, Chair and members. My name is CP Ahmed Salim Ali, Chief Finance Officer.
Good morning, Chair and members. I'm Ibrahim Sir, Procurement.
Assalamu alaikum all. Good morning, Chair and members. I'm Abdurrahman Mohammed, Deputy CFO.
Good morning. I'm Ahmed Abdurrahman, Deputy Director, HRM.
Good morning. I'm Ali Adan Chute, Director Asset Management, Acting Director Procurement.
Good morning, everyone. I am Zahra, County Chief Officer, Environment and Climate Change.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, Chair and members. My name is Rahma Said Elias, County Chief Officer, Energy.
Good morning. My name is Susan Nyambura Gichuhi. I'm the Director Liaison Office.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Hussein Al-Nur, Deputy Chief of Staff.
That's it from the delegation, from the governor's delegation. Fine. I think the others are members of the media. You are welcome. So we'll move very swiftly to the next order, which is administration of oath.
I, Muhammad Khalif, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before this committee, with respect to matters before the committee, shall be truth, the whole truth, and nothing but truth, so help me God.
Next will be your tabling of your written responses.
Chair, I hereby table the following documents before the committee: management responses and accompanying annexures on the report of the Auditor General on the County Executive for the year 2024-25. 2. Management responses and accompanying annexures on the report of the Auditor General on the receiver of revenue statements for the County Executive of Mandera for the financial year 2024-25. And 3. Management responses and accompanying annexures on the reports of the Auditor General on the County Revenue Fund for the County Executive of Mandera for the financial year 2024-25. Thank you.
Clerk of the Senate, could you confirm if whatever the governor has tabled came within the timelines that were prescribed?
Yes, Chairman, we confirm the responses were sent within the timelines.
Auditor General, can you confirm your readiness to proceed?
Yes, Chairman. We received the response in good time and we did the analysis. Thank you.
Unless there is any supplement or preliminary observation, we will go straight to the report of the Auditor General. Senator Sifuna.
Chair, I'm a bit worried by the volume of paperwork that is before us. This could be a problem. That perhaps the county entity does not engage with the auditor during audit process and they want us to do the audit here today.
Now, maybe we can just put it to the test because we must be very clear that the audit has already been done. What we are doing here is not an audit. Here we are making recommendations, directing entities to take action or advising the governor on what action to take. So I hope that this is not indicative of a desire for the Senate to be the auditor. The Senate is not the auditor. And the only way to establish that is to put a few matters to the test and confirm.
Chair, and when you know there is difference between quality and quantity.
normally the quantity does not equal the quality. So maybe the tasting, the eating of the pudding, but this is rare. I hope we are not going to do audit because Article 229 says only Parliament shall consider the reports and make appropriate recommendations. So I hope this was available to the OAG when it was needed, not available now because it's before Parliament. I yield back, Chair.
Okay, fine. So let's put it to the test. And the best way of putting it to the test...
Chair, for observation. Thank you, Chair. You remember today is Friday, and we came for this meeting, I think, 10:45, and it's already noon. And you live in Kenya, all of us live in Kenya, and we understand that as Muslims, we are to go for prayer at exactly 30:40 there. So I don't know how we're going to manage time, because for us we came very early, and although you have said you have started the meeting earlier, but we really request that we keep times when we appear before the Senate, because as we always...
Governor, you have made your point. I am chairing this meeting. I will manage time. The time at which you entered this room is immaterial. This meeting started at 10, and we had a long agenda, and we are within that agenda. So there are no apologies expected or to be rendered. We started our meeting at 10. The time at which you came in is the time at which we got to the agenda item. I take note that today is a Friday. I am not going to disregard that, but we will be as fast as your responses. It depends on how you respond. So I think we can get straight to the business of the day today. And again, really, if you are to go through these volumes between 11:50 and 12:30, definitely you know that that is an impossibility. So let's get on. Let's start with the Auditor General. What was your opinion on the financial statements of Mandera?
Thank you, Chairman. The opinion was a qualified opinion.
Take us through the qualification.
Thank you, Chair.
What was the first issue?
The first issue was the use of goods, which had two parts. There's one, unsupported expenditure on routine maintenance of vehicles and other transport equipment. Another one is unsupported expenditure on fuel, oil, and lubricants. Thank you, Chair.
Now, as is customary, we will get the response of the governor on this matter. I think because it's a first matter, and we see how fast you can prosecute it, and maybe for efficiency, we might want to go to a few other cross-cutting issues rather than going word by word. So, Governor, could you give us your response on that first issue on unsupported expenditure on maintenance of vehicles and transport equipment?
Chair, the delay in availing the complete records arose from the centralized nature of transport operation across various departments, particularly for ambulances attached to sub-county hospital for referral purposes, where the job cards and inspection reports are maintained and retained at the sub-counties and were therefore not available during the audit period. The motor vehicle maintenance records.
Just a minute. Sergeant at Arms, is there a problem with the volume of the governor's device? Because it's not very audible. And if the governor is naturally soft-spoken, then you need to amplify the volume so that we can hear it.
Am I audible now? Yeah. So the motor vehicle maintenance records, including job cards, inspection and re-inspection reports, and updated status reports on the repaired vehicles, have since been consolidated from the sub-counties and the mechanical departments and are thereby available for review. All those are attached in volume 1 from page 1 to 134. Thank you.
Auditor General. Volume 1, page 1 to 134. The governor wants us to go through that. You see now the challenges we are going to have in terms of time management. Auditor General, have you looked at those appendices?
Thank you, Chair. We looked at the appendices, and as the governor said, during the time of the audit, these documents were not availed, but later they have been availed, and we look at them and we are satisfied.
Now, Governor, is there a need for you to take administrative action on your officers? Because if they were required to be present at the time of audit and were not availed at the time of audit and they are coming before the Senate, is that an admission of administrative failure internally?
No, not really, but we have discussed this matter, and I want to say that this document, especially the work tickets and the inspection reports, are voluminous document. So it's not very easy to attach to a payment vouchers. What we normally do is we prepare files for those documents. So, but we have internally discussed this as we are preparing this report, and we agreed that going forward, we're going to improve so that at least we have an entry and exit meeting with the auditors so that these issues doesn't arise again. Thank you.
Senator Chirate?
Chair, I find the governor's response unfortunate because governor, audit process is a process. It's not an event. It's a constitutional process. That's why we have a Public Audit Act. Public Audit Act Section 62 is very clear that non-availability of documents when needed during audit period is an offense and it is punishable. So in fact, the least issue should have done so that we move faster is to ensure that the administrative action is taken against these officers, because in future, how sure are we, Chair, with these documents there was some cooking that was done. So the point, Governor, you must be serious on this matter and ensure that officers concerned who are supposed to avail these documents for audit. Then what is the essence of audit? Because we give you money so that that money can be accounted, and the only way to be accounted is the provision, because I have looked from this volume 1 from number 1, but it's not up to 134, is it so? I think it's up to 034. I think the numerical was. So, Governor, Section 62 has been violated. The officers who are supposed to provide these documents, administrative action must be taken against. And maybe, Governor, my second question would be, so what is the way out? You know, unless Mandera things are different, you violate the law, they call you, they just smile at you and you go home. So tell us what is the cure. Number 2, and finally, Chair, is these documents and these vehicles that were provided for, including the work tickets that you are, and job cards, pre and post of work tickets. Is it based on sub-county, all these original documents, or are based at the county headquarters of Mandera? Chair, I yield back.
Thank you. So let's get Senator Sifuna's intervention.
Just to test the governor's response, I hear him to be saying that the documents were in the sub-counties. Governor, if you just go to that first document that you have attached there, where is this Mwalimu Toyota Mandera Limited? Where is it located?
They have branches in sub-county and they are located in Mandera.
Just go to the first voucher, the payment voucher there, for 1.29 million shillings.
Yeah.
And the local service order.
You know, the question is not about the vouchers, is the attachments, the job cards, the
Governor,
work tickets.
the question is actually about the vouchers. That at the time of audit, you did not provide those vouchers. You are telling us?
No, just read the audit.
Governor, you know you are the respondent, so you cannot interpret, you cannot read the questioner's mind. Allow Senator Sifuna to ask the question and you respond. We will move faster.
Yeah,
and we'll allow you to go for prayer.
I want to read the question by the query by the auditor so that we are clear. However, expenditure amounting to 13 million was not supported with motor vehicle work tickets indicating the details of the dates when the vehicles were in the garages. So these documents you have attached here, what are they supposed to demonstrate? I thought you were saying these documents answer the query by the Auditor General. They were not available at the time of audit because you said they were in the sub-counties. This first one, this Mwalimu Toyota Mandera Limited of 1.29 million, you have attached a receipt and a local service order and a payment voucher. Which one do this relate to? Which sub-county is this that was so far away from you at the time of audit?
Senator, I say we have garages in all our sub-counties, and all of them are pre-qualified to provide services.
Yeah, so where is this one located? Where this first one?
Alimu Garage.
The payment, yes.
Alimu Garage is located in Mandera town.
So these documents were Mandera town?
Which one now?
Governor, Governor.
Yes.
You have started this meeting by asking us to be mindful of time and the date and the day of the week.
Yes.
I am still mindful of time and the fact that today is a Friday.
Thank you.
Help us to achieve what you requested by being direct and being relevant in terms of what the senators are asking. Senator Sifuna.
Chair, just to help the governor, these documents were in Mandera town. They were kept at your offices in Mandera. So at least for these ones, you should have produced them at the time of audit. You cannot use the same argument for, say, which is your farthest sub-county from the headquarters?
Mandera West and Mandera South.
Yeah, so your argument should be relating to those far-flung areas. But for documents that were available at county headquarters, you cannot make an excuse for non-provision.
Thank you. I think we said we have discussed this issue, and even for the one coming from sub-county, we have agreed that we have an entry and exit meeting with auditors, so that although the time to respond to queries is normally short and the distance is a bit far, we provide this document on time going forward. Thank you.
Chair, maybe out of curiosity, Governor, who is your senior most that attends entry, exit, and management meetings? And I thought before the OAG processes their certificate, they always raise a management letter with such concerns. Who attends? Do you attend the OAG meetings?
Yes, when I'm in town, I normally sometimes attend, but the chief, the CCM finance, the county secretary, county attorney, and all the senior team normally attend. But I do attend sometime when I'm available.
But now that CCM finance is here, did you attend? Were you aware of these issues being raised?
Yes, Mr. Senator, I'm aware. Normally after the management letter, we have time, we are given time.
Yes.
And the OAG office is a bit far from us. And they gave us that time, we brought it on time.
Which timeline?
Normally they give us 7 days.
Yes.
The OAG team is here. We transported the documents. By the time it arrived to Garissa, the report is already out. We have shared with them everything.
So how many days do you travel? I know we are doing a road on that area. How many days do you travel from Mandera to Garissa now that you are given 7 days? By road?
A maximum of 3 days.
Maximum of 3 days.
Because normally Nairobi is nearer to Mandera than Garissa normally. And these are the accountable documents that we normally carry.
So, Governor, if I heard, because he's speaking through it, you are blaming the distance for non-provision of this documentation after that open period before the certificate is generated?
I don't say we entirely blame time, because we are aware of the 7 days, but we are just mentioning the challenges. Getting documents from the sub-county to the headquarters, moving to Nairobi by air, and then by transport to Mandera, to Garissa. It's quite involving. But
Chair, maybe for clarity, sorry for taking long. OAG, how long, because audit is a process, how long do you take to audit until a report comes out? Just in time, so that, is it 3 months, is it 1 year, is it what?
Thank you, Chair. Maybe if I can brief the committee. During that year under review, we had 2 audits. One, what we call the interim audit or the continuous audit. And then we had final audit in the month of September, October.
So cumulatively, how many months do you do the audit? Especially this year under review, at a standard?
It will be 2 months.
2 months?
Yeah, but normally we give them like in total duration like 2 weeks. for financial audit.
Yes.
For the corner audit, we did almost for 1 month. Then I want to say, because before the audit, we give them notices that we will come and audit, so prepare this document.
So it is a process.
Yeah, it's a process.
So leave it there. So, Governor, are you going to take an administrative action through the chair?
I will.
Actually, that was my very first question, which has led to all this conversation. But this matter, OAG, you cannot tell us it is addressed. You have cited repair on motor vehicles. The unique identifier of a motor vehicle is a registration number. We have from 1 to 134. We have 134 pieces of paper for us to go through. How sure are we that the 134 total to 13 million? Because what ought to have been presented here was a summation, a summary table, saying KBB XYZ, this is the amount that was spent on this day, and it all adds up to 13 million. How do you tell us this matter is resolved in the absence of that clarity? Or have you done that computation?
Thank you, Chair. I asked the same very question, but I have out on the ground, and I'm here with him. He told me he confirmed. Maybe he can.
Let us see that confirmation, because you don't expect me to go through these 134 pages and start working out to see whether it adds up to 13 million. So, OAG, by the time you tell me something is resolved, then you must give me that assurance.
There is a schedule totaling to 13 million.
Where is it?
Maybe I can.
OAG, is this your report or this is the county's report? You should be the one asking the governor to present it to you. And if it was presented to you, then it should also be presented to us. 13 million is not small money. Those are 10 ECDs. So if you are saying that money was spent without visibility, you are the one who said it in December. Now in January, you are telling us it is okay. Convince us that it is okay. This is your case.
Produce the schedule.
Which one? Or do we go through these 134 pages and start adding one by one? From page 1, Mwalimu is 1.299 billion. Then we go to the next one, 1.229. Then we go to the next one, which does not even make sense. How do you expect the Senate? And that's why the Senator Sifuna was worried about the volumes that are before us and whether it is useful. What we should be consuming now is a summarized schedule showing the 20 motor vehicles and the amount spent on each, totaling to 13 million.
I agree with you, the chairman. That will be the easier way. Of course, we have provided the document and we need to have attached the total. I think.
So, Governor, where is it? Because if it was here, we'd be on issue number 2. I can assure you.
I said that should have been the right thing, and I said we're going to take the internal control to make sure that we provide a list going forward.
Because in the absence of that, we are going to add these pages and know that there are lawyers here who did not go through mathematics classes. So
no, but we went through accounting for lawyers.
Yeah,
they
did mathematics for dummies. So yeah, you are out of order.
You are out of order.
And for billing also.
Yeah, they did calculus.
You know, the answer of governor is very interesting because it looks like he knows what should be done, but he's not doing it. Because he's saying we should have done this, unless there is a detachment between you and the staff. Because you know very well that it was easier to get the breakdown of 13 million, account for those repairs of the vehicles, it would have been easier. But now you are admitting on record, like some other colleague who came and admitted an illegality the other day, they know what they are supposed to be doing, but you are not doing. So this, it means you will just accept the consequences, Chair. And I think this question of 13 million is not answered because even the question should have been further, whether even this, because I've seen the OAGs even requesting post-repair inspection report on the 13 million that was used on the vehicle. So, Chair, Governor, please, you know what it should be done, unless you are running your county differently through a drone or something.
Well, anyway, let's hear from the OAG. Before OAG, Senator Gataya, please go on record.
Chair, my name is Senator Mwanda Gataya, the county member of this committee.
Karibu. Patrick, you wanted to say something?
Yes, Chairman. This 13 million was a schedule prepared by the auditor when they had tabulated that expenditure could not be supported. And he seems to say that it is in our system. Chairman, please allow us to access our system so they can be able to extract that schedule. Because
but Patrick, the greater question is, do the documents that have been supported, have been presented now, do they tally with that, the 13 million that you are saying you have a schedule?
Chairman, as we stand now, that evidence is not before this committee.
Yeah, there is no way of knowing because all these documents here, we can't be doing the audit here, Patrick. There is no way. How do I know what this job card refers to, which vehicle?
The summary, Chairman, that summary came from the auditor. 13 million.
So, Patrick, you know exactly what we're asking. And I think we all know what we're asking. Even the governor knows what we're asking for. So, I think this one, you were in a rush to say the matter is resolved without demonstrating how it has been resolved. We cannot close it.
Thank you for that direction, Chair. And one of the things that I'm wondering, Governor, you know that there is an audit every year. How is it not possible for you to have regular, like immediately expenses are incurred in the sub-counties? Why can't you have, like, even if it is monthly, all these vouchers and copies of the receipts and other things being driven from those sub-counties to the headquarters so that the headquarters can have copies of these documents? By the time the auditor is coming to town, you have all these things from the sub-county. But you can't just sit and then you say, oh, they were in Mandera West. That one I don't think is acceptable in terms of an argument.
No, members, I just want us to, because I'm seeing that these issues of unsupported expenditure, and there are about 5 of them in this report, if this is going to be the trend, then we're not going to be able to make a lot of sense in them. If it will just be the OAG telling us it's been resolved without that confirmation tendered, it's going to be difficult. Now, I want us to, with your indulgence, members, with your indulgence, we cannot sit here in Nairobi and pretend that we don't know about the humanitarian crisis in counties like Mandera and a few counties up north. And I was reading the governor's responses, and I'd expected that in your opening narration, you would also address us on the drought situation in Mandera. I've not seen that come up. Now, I want us to be alive to the suffering of people. I don't think the people of Mandera at this point are very interested in finding out how vehicles were fixed. They are more interested in finding out how their animals will be rescued, how their children will go back to school, how water will reach them, how they will stay alive. And they are more interested in hearing the plans and the measures that the government of Mandera and the national government has put in place to guarantee lives and to guarantee livelihoods. The things we do here in Nairobi must connect with the immediate and real needs of the people. And so I want to the indulgence members that if there was one thing that we must discuss, it is that situation. And our entry point into that conversation, so that your county attorney does not go to court like he did last time, challenging the directives of the committee that we are discussing matters are not before us, our entry point is a county emergency fund. So, Auditor General, you had made some observations on the county emergency fund, but before we get into the substantive matters that you have raised, I think it would be fair for the governor to appraise us on the situation, on the drought situation, and the fiscal implications, and really the real human situation. Because you can't just come to Nairobi to discuss motor vehicle repair vouchers. Governor, proceed.
Thank you, Chair, for that directive. I really concur with you. And that is actually the area I've been discussing for the last 1 month. So I have even numbers on my fingertip. I don't need even to refer to a note. As you have rightly said, we are going through a very devastating drought, I must say. And this is the 4th drought since I came to office. What that means is that it's like every year we go into a drought. And drought is no longer an emergency. Because we have been talking about drought emergencies. It's something that we can predict as a country and as a county. We had a long drought when I came in of August all the way to March 2023, August 22 to March 2023. We only had a break from March 23 to April 24, and then we had another 3 droughts. This means the 4th. And the worst thing about this current drought is about lack of pasture. Because it didn't rain, we received actually below average rain in March, April, May of last year. And we did not even get totally rain in the October, November, December rain of 2025. So the pasture is completely depleted. So the biggest challenge is animals feed. So as a county, what we have been doing from last year, March, is actually February last year, we decided to focus on groundwater because we can no longer rely on surface water because of the climate change. So we invested in latest equipment and then trained our geologists and engineers, and we went out to do exploration in the entire Mandera County. So far, we have surveyed 200 sites. We have drilled close to 40-something sites, with 35 being successful drilling because of the latest equipment. And we have already equipped over 30 boreholes in areas that has never had boreholes, because we were told and we believed that the entire western part of the county, from north all the way to Wajir border, by the successive regime, that there is no underground water in those areas. So those boreholes I'm mentioning, is 95% of them actually were done in those areas. A town like Banisa, sub-county headquarters, town like Kilwiri, a sub-county headquarters, town like Dandu, sub-county headquarters, were getting water for the first time, as Abito and so many others. So we have done, and with very little help from partners, especially, I think we got about support in equipping about 6 boreholes. All the rest, drilling and equipment and infrastructure structure were done by Mandera County government. That's one. What that help us is we have reduced that water tracking site to settlement from 394 in 2002, 2003 to 204 this year, courtesy of those boreholes, including major towns. So currently we are doing water tracking to 267 sites. 63 sites is for livestock and 204 for settlement. Why are we doing water tracking when we have done such a number of boreholes? Is because of what I have said earlier, lack of pasture. So what we have done is we zone our grazing area where we think animals can survive for a few months along the Ethiopian border, along Wajir North border, and along Somali border, and then zone these pastorals into 63 sites. So we are doing water tracking to 63 sites. That is on water. On education, from January 2023, because when I came in, I said it was one of the worst droughts in 40 years. And 70% of our livelihood, that's livestock, gone that time. We did an assessment, engaging the principals in December 2022, and the report we received was shocking because they say if we don't intervene, then people or students or senior school students or secondary school students will not be reporting for schools in January 2023. So I did supplementary budget and then decided to pay school fees for all our secondary school going children. That is January 2023. We come up with a program called Ilimuka Water Program, where every child, irrespective of his or her family background, who get admitted to a government school within Mandera County is paid for by Mandera County government. I can report that that program is still on, and this year, I think it is in public domain, that the transition rate from grade 9 to grade 10 in Mandera is actually leading in the country. If you look at our UNICEF report in 2001 and 2, UNICEF reported that over 365 school-going children are out of school in that county. But now we are leading. By the second week of reporting, 98% of our grade 10 learners are in class, courtesy of Ilimu Kwawot. So on that one, we have really questioned the parent. When we get rains in March 2023, all the way to 24, the number of our heads in Mandera County, the livestock population actually increased despite us coming through the droughts, the recycling droughts. And as by the end of last year, our animals population is at 5.8 million, about 3 million being goats, and then 900 camel, 800 cattle, and then about 170 something donkeys. That we can link it with the Elimu Water program, because instead of selling animals and paying fees, we indirectly restocked the families, or the people, the communities in Mandera. That's on education. And the second part on education is we have also been doing distributing Unimix to our early learners, pupils, PP1s and 2. I just launched 150 metric ton of Unimix, which is cooked across all our ECD centers, the 372 or 4 there. So that's on education. So the worst thing now, of course, on issues of drought, the vulnerable families, we did distribute about 16, we distributed relief food to about 16,000 households in November. That is about 16,000 households, translating to about 100 plus population. But currently, the number of people who are in need of food support, because we are almost in IPC4 in terms of food security, is about 400,000 people, because in December it was about 335, but the number will have reached about 400. Currently, we are doing targeting across all the sub-counties, combining the non-governmental organization, the county government, or at all level. And we want to target about 40,000 households, vulnerable, most vulnerable population, so that we distribute food ration to about 40,000 households within the next 3 weeks. We have also got support from the national government, about 4 trucks of rice per sub-county. I said it's little, but better than nothing. We have promised that the similar amount of beans will follow. I don't know when. So on relief distribution, so we are targeting about 40,000 households within Mandera, and mostly the most vulnerable people. In partnership with World Food Program, they have just released cash transfer to about 7,992 households, each household getting about 6,000 for 3 months. Similar support we go through an organization called Rasida for about 9,000 households, getting between 6,000 to 12,000 per month for 3 months. So what we have done is through the county steering group, we decided to have a working steering group so that we do a proper intervention and mitigation of the drought and then avoid duplication. So the mapping we are doing, even for the World Food Program, we did it as a team, including even the national government administrators on the ground, the communities, the religious leaders, women leaders, youth leaders, and everybody on board. So in terms of food security, I can say we will manage with the challenges we have, but the biggest challenge now is animals feed. We have just we decided to, in consultation with food security system, food security resilience program, CFSRP, that we need to do go into buying, procuring feed for animals. We are partnering with the national government because they said they will support us in transport, so that these pellets, when it reaches Mandera, can be subsidized completely before even the market price. And then we have a committee at every ward. They're called CDDC, which is going to manage that, and to avoid people who are wealthy to buy everything. We are doing targeting for all the ladders across the county so that we have an inventory of all ladders, and then we now even control how people are going to buy those pellets. With support of National Drought...
I hope you're winding down.
Yes. In support of National Drought Monitoring Authority, they are delivering about 8,050 kg bags of pellets. We are also doing the targeting, and we are reaching out to several other partners. And if we can avail food for animals, then we can mitigate this drought. But the biggest challenge now is animal feed. And we thank there are few partners who are on board, who are really supporting, but 90% of the support is actually coming from Mandera County government. Finally, on animals also, we are also supporting them in veterinary services because the animals are weaker now and they require at least support in terms of veterinary services. Thank you.
Is this an emergency situation or it's a business as usual situation?
It's an emergency situation.
Fine. Let's go to what the law requires. Auditor General, what was your observation on the emergency fund?
Thank you, Chair. This was an observation: failure to operationalize emergency fund. The statement of financial performance reflects payments of on other grants and subsidies amount to Kenya shillings 888,302,758, comprising of Kenya shillings 459 million, Kenya shillings 382, and Kenya shillings 55 million in respect of scholarship under the educational benefits, emergency relief and refugee assistance and purchase of seedlings, respectively. However, the payments on emergency relief and refugee assistance include an amount of Kenya shilling 32,846,226 on water tracking, and an amount of Kenya shilling 349,501,000 on supply and delivery of relief items for vulnerable members of the society. The expenditure ought to have been incurred through the emergency fund. The county executive established Mandera County Emergency Fund through Section 4 of the Mandera County Emergency Fund Act 2020 to enable payments to be made when an urgent and unforeseen need for expenditure arises for which there is no specific legislative authority. The executive did not set aside funds in the annual budget for the Emergency Fund as required by Section 5 of the Mandera County Emergency Fund Act 2020. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, you may respond.
Thank you, Chair. The management established the County Emergency Fund Act in 2020 and has undertaken its operationalization in line with the provisions of Public Finance Management Act 2012. In the financial year under review 24-25, an allocation was made in supplementary budget towards the fund to facilitate the establishment of the necessary legal and administrative structures. Full implementation and utilization of the County Emergency Fund commenced in the financial year 25-26, and all the requisitive structures and compliance measures are fully in place. We have the Emergency Fund Act, the abstract of the financial year 25-26, and approved program-based budget, bank account opening letter, and fund requisition for the same. So our emergency fund is now fully operationalized, Chair. Thank you.
Now, before we even go to the broader issues, you're saying that in this financial year, an allocation was made in the supplementary budget to facilitate the establishment of necessary legal and administrative structures. How much was that allocation?
For last year was to introduce a line so that we do the other legal framework, but this financial year we have fully operationalized and we have
Governor, you're referring to 24-25, which is a year under review. Can you demonstrate the allocation that was made to the fund?
Last year, the other last year was a small line. I think
how much is that small line?
Just tell us how much was it.
I think it was around 3 million we provided for establishment of the structures, office and whatever.
Where is it? Because that then would be a transfer to the fund. Can we see it in this financial statement?
We did not do it in the fund because the fund has a clear purpose, but we have provided that line in the budget.
Just a minute. So what you're saying is not correct because you're saying that you just set up 3 million to establish the fund. It's not like the fund was financed in 24-25.
The fund has specific activities to do. What we did, we provided 3 million.
The financing of the fund as a starting point. There are many issues. Let's just start from there. Was a fund financed in 24-25?
No.
So this statement here, where you are saying an allocation was made towards the fund, is not accurate.
We did. It's in the budget. Then we can provide on time.
No, there's no other time. This is a time.
What we did is we provided 3 million in our budget last financial year to operationalize the fund. For you to have the fund, you need to have structures, Mr. Chair, which we did, and the fund now is fully operational.
Waziri, you are the one who's going to delay your prayer by being long-winded.
Okay.
What we want to confirm is that in the year under review, the fund was established, and establishment of the fund is not just legislation, it is financing it. You have said here, in the financial year under review, an allocation was made in the supplementary budget towards the fund. That is the evidence we want. If it is not there, we expunge it. Because if this is true, then we can agree with you that the fund has been established, operationalized, and money has been put in it. Is that the case, Governor?
I think, let's to be honest, we started the process, but it was not operationalized in that financial year.
So that is the fact.
Right.
Fine. So you have described the situation as an emergency, and it is a very sorry situation, and we feel for the people of Mandera. And you see, there are a lot of conversations going on about residents of counties up north who face challenges that residents in counties in the middle of the country or western of the country or southern of the country do not face. And if we don't discuss these things honestly, we might build a society where we are comparing fingers and expecting them to be of the same length. The challenges you are facing are unique, but you also need to respond to them lawfully, and you also need to respond to them creatively. You have given us a number of interventions: water tracking, digging of wells, elimu kwa wote, Unimix, relief food to 40,000 households, cash transfers, and very many nice interventions. How do you ensure that these interventions are effectively implemented? Because situations keep unfolding. At the time you are budgeting, you had budgeted for 2.4 billion under that line, isn't it?
For emergency, it was 292.
Sorry?
292 million for emergency fund.
292.
92.
Well, I'm looking at your total budget under other grants and subsidies. It was 2.4 billion.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the line for emergency.
For emergency, it was 290.
292.
So it means you even spent more, because what the auditor cited is almost 300 million. So in the absence of an emergency fund, how agile can you be to respond to things as they unfold?
Chair, that's why I said this financial year, we have operationalized our emergency fund account, requisition, opening of bank account, everything is there.
That's okay. We
Yeah.
shall see that in the next financial statement.
Yeah.
What
So-
is the reason why this provision that was in the PFM, has been in the PFM for the last 10 years, has been in your laws since 2020? What is the reason why you have not seen it fit to establish it? And yet year after year, you have these situations.
I really don't have a specific answer, but you know, in counties in northern Kenya, we have a lot of competing interests. I mean, in terms of project, we have about 525 centers. Each of them requires water, basic education, health, and of course the structural construction we have seen, we have come a long way in putting up structures even for the county government, because we could not have anything to inherit from the previous the defunct local authorities. But I agree with you, this should have been done earlier than this year.
And for your information, you indicated your budget was 290. The auditor here cites you spent 349 million on
292 was this financial year.
Which one? 24, 25?
And 5, 26.
No. Why don't you give us a number for the year that we are considering?
I said we never had an emergency fund. So if it's water, it's down to...
No. You had a budget for supply and delivery of relief food, isn't it?
Yes.
What was that budget in 2024, 2025?
How much is it? Yeah, we had it under special program department, and I think it's about 349 plus, I think some carried forward from the previous year.
Yeah, so honorable members, I think let's discuss this, because this is like a black hole when it comes to expenditure by counties. If it's put in a fund, then there's a fund administrator. Then the fund administrator is held responsible and accountable. Then there are financial statements for that fund. If it's put as a line budget item, then it becomes fungible, and it is very difficult to know who got the, you call it Unimix or Ujimix? Ujimix. It's very difficult to know who got a truck of water. It's very difficult to know which animals got the feed. We had a county where the governor procured feed for wild animals because he said that the county relies on tourist revenue. And so they spent a few hundreds of millions and threw the food in the park. I think Senator Dulo is very aware of that particular case. How do you track that? Because if you don't track it, if you don't have transparency, then you will have the accusations and allegations that people are making that the Uji mix and the feed and the water tracking are the apartments in Nairobi. So we must have clarity. So, Senator Cherate.
Chair, thank you. I think while we empathize with the situation up north, we must also be honest with the resources we receive. Because you look at page 25 on your financial statements, Governor, emergency relief and refugee assistance was 382,347,226. Of course, the scholarship you have indicated, I think 459 million. Then there was purchase of seedlings of 55 million, totaling 898,302,758. This is not number 11 on other grants and subsidies. One question I would ask, why, as noted by the OAG, that this fund one was never operationalized, the Mandera County County Emergency Fund Act 2020. One was never operational. Then number two, I have looked at the annexures you are provided. You are provided program-based allocation of 2025-2026, but I'm not seeing it under the year under review of 2024-2025 that the funds were set aside. Number two, in this 382 million that was made for emergency relief services, Governor, you have broken down what you have done, including what partners have done, water tracking, the issue of subsidy program for food, the issue of water tracking, the support to pasture to farmers. But here there is no breakdown on the aspect of how this 382 million plus on emergency relief services was done. So that is number two. And I request Governor, you know, all of us are human beings, if you can note down so that I don't need to come back again to ask. And finally, Chair, looking at all this, and I think this one on the seedlings, what kind of seedlings were you purchasing of 55 million? Because is it 3 seedlings? Is it the one maize seedlings, for example, or any other? What did it mean? This 55 is a vague line, and you have told us you are experiencing drought. So what kind of seedlings were you purchasing during dry season? I thought in terms of priority, this 55 million should have been done maybe for water tracking, for food support program, and even mapping. Finally, sorry for taking long. The issue, you have said in 2023, it was worse drought than when you came to office. Now you're having similar challenges. And you are still discussing on how you want to map, including cash transfer programs and many other issues. It means when the drought subsides, you leave it at that, because the last 4 years, why don't you present before this committee and tell us, even if this law is in place, this is the plan that we have adopted to handle situations of emergency, especially on drought, so that we can be on the same page with you. So apart from this committee that you are saying, is this a committee that is periodic? Is it a committee that is in place that has given you innovative? Can you give us something innovative and creative, as the chair has asked, on how you handle this situation? Chair, with those 4 questions, I yield back.
Thank you. Senator Adan.
Thank you, Chair. You know, where I come from, we have a similar situation like Mandera, though not that extreme. I come the lower parts of Tharaka. Tharaka is equally facing some serious drought issues. But of course, Chair, we have put some long-term mitigation, how we handle drought whenever we have such a case. So in this case now, because, you know, Governor, you have been around for some time, you have just confessed that this is not the first time that you are facing drought in your tenure. This is the 4th time. Do you have any policy? Do you have mitigation arrangements that are permanently put in place to manage drought crisis? That maybe, you know, these things are just unforeseen. Do you have something permanent, maybe somebody can back on?
Yep. Governor, you may respond to the 4 raised by Senator Cherargei and the last one by Senator Gataya before Senator Sifuna comes in.
I just want to start with my brother Senator. There is no permanent solution for this. The only solution for drought mitigation in northern Kenya is by availing animals feed, which requires heavy investment in water, so that we have feedlots where millions of acres are put under irrigation, and if it doesn't rain, then we have enough hay in our store. We have done several engagement with national government, including the head of state, and we are even looking at the regional issues around Dawa River, because the only source of water we have is Dawa River. Currently, we have started what we call the Our River Basin Development Initiative, which is an advanced stage. And we have engaged Ethiopia, and we're actually going there again towards mid of next month to finalize on bilateral agreement, because the water along the river traverses three countries. So what we are doing is to have a damming along the river upstream, so that we harvest millions of liters of water. Because the unfortunate thing about our river is if it rains in Ethiopian islands, or even in Mandera or in Kenya, then swap all the irrigation, the farms along the river, going to west. It's like every other time we start again all over, including our water assets along the river. So, and then if it dries like this time, it dries up. So like right now, there's no water in our river. So doing damming up there to a height of about 90-meter wall will be able to, one, to control the floods along the river, to make sure that the water flows throughout the year along the river, and then puts all those farms under irrigation in areas of fodder production. That is the only way we can address drought in northern Kenya, not through any other thing. And through in the Department of State, Department of Agriculture, we have also done to do something in the western part of the country, where we have 2 lagers coming all the way from Ethiopia, to see how we can also do a mini pan or dam in one of the area, although the area is a bit flat, and in flat area damming is becoming a bit of challenge. So the permanent solution to drought mitigation is providing animals feeds to the pastoralists, saving their livelihoods. Relief food is not a solution, it's just an emergency intervention. Water tracking is not a solution. If we could have had fodder today, we would not have been water tracking to 63 sites, because we will have allowed animals to come to the watering point. So that is the long-term solution. It requires support of the national government and partners. World Bank have shown interest in that. We had a meeting on Monday with the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Actually, will be leading the delegation. So our focus now is how do we harvest water so that we put several thousands of acres under irrigation, especially on fodder production. Because if we get fodder for livestock, the issue of poverty, the issue of drought will have been things of past. Coming to Senator Sefuna's
Sefuna has not yet spoken.
Yeah, and he's my friend. Maybe I started with him. And also Senator Chere is also a friend of mine. And they call themselves pastoralists when they are not, sometime on Ajita or Pugaji. So on him, I think he has asked several questions.
Stop provoking my members.
But Chair,
you
we
will
are
land in a lot
pastoralists.
of problems. Just go straight to the audit query.
On the budgeting, in fact, we had an emergency, a cabinet meeting on executive committee meeting on emergencies. In fact, if you look at the cost of intervention, is huge. Even the numbers we are measuring here is not going to be enough. But we have people who are very, very compassionate, and they even sometimes extend us a wait for us even when we give them service and pay a little money, and then they can wait for us to pay them later years. But these numbers, if we talk of the education, if we talk of the primary school feeding, if we talk of water tracking, if we talk of borehole, is actually very little compared to what we are doing. But I can assure you, we have no laxity of buying feeds for wildlife. Our problem is huge. We are struggling with how to save our livelihood, which is a livestock. So I can confirm that we have been very prudent in our way of managing things, and we have really tried our best to make sure that lives and livelihood of our people are safe. Thank you.
Auditor General, just to deal with the specifics, because I think we have spent too much time on the broad policy interventions. This is an accountability meeting. OAG, you have reported that the county spent 32.8 million on water tracking. Can you give us the assurance that this 32.8 million from your analysis was spent on water tracking? Your job is to give us an assurance. And when you're giving us an assurance, tell us the test that you carried out. You have also told us that 55.9 million was spent on seedlings in a county that has perennial drought situations.
What type of seedlings?
Can you give us the assurance that the 55.9 million worth of seedlings are traceable, and tell us the test that you carried out? You have also reported that 349 million was spent on relief food items. Give us the assurance and tell us the test that you carried. If you assure us, we will move to the next issue.
Chair, can I add also to Patrick? Also, with the cash transfers, there is a cash transfer of 12 million to elderly. Can he give us the test on how that cash transfer of 12 million was achieved? And to add on seedlings, which kind of seedlings are these?
Okay, so let's deal with the numbers first. Let's just get this assurance from the OAG, because if the OAG gives us an assurance, then we have very limited room to doubt.
Thank you, Chair. What was the first assurance?
That 32.8 million spent on water tracking, that you are able to see the documentation and you are able to carry out some tests to confirm that 32.8 million indeed was spent on water tracking. The next one was 55.9 million spent on seedlings. You just give us the assurance on the test you carried, the 12 million on cash transfers, and the 349 million on relief food items.
Yeah, maybe out of ignorance, one would be interested to know what kind of farming is practiced in Mandela.
Sorry, Senator?
I mean, out of, maybe I don't know, one would be interested to know what kind of farming is practiced in Mandela.
Can I?
No, you will respond. Let the Auditor General first deal with the facts, then you will respond.
Thank you, Chair. For the issue of water tracking, we did the analysis. We looked at even from the procurement point of view, how the water tracks were sourced, if they were delivered, but on a sample basis. So we are able to have the numbers of the vehicles that tracked and the recipients. And that was our test. That was there need for water tracking? Is there a need? How were the water tracks sourced? And was the water delivered to the intended purpose?
Seedlings?
Seedlings?
55.9 seedlings?
Okay.
This is in your report. This is in your report. They are not figures that we have come up with. Actually, it's in the governor's report. So, really, it's the governor who should respond, but he might tell us stories. You are the one who provides assurance. So, give us that assurance.
Thank you, Chair. Again, for the seedlings, we use the same process. How were the seedlings sourced and the need for the same. Again, this would not do 100%. It's just on a sample basis. We could look at an item. Was there need for the count to purchase the seedlings? How was it procured? And then finally, how was it delivered? And we did a test check because sometimes you could call one of the recipients just to confirm. Some were positive, as calls went unanswered.
You're just making calls because seedlings is something you need to see. 55 million worth of seedlings is how many seedlings? Governor, 55 million worth of seedlings, that would be how many?
Can I respond to all?
No. I think it's almost, we just need to be specific. I'd wanted to release you at 1 to go for prayer, but we might spill over a little bit. So 55 million worth of seedlings, how many were they?
I know I don't have the numbers, but I can tell the question that what type of
No,
farming do
don't answer that.
we
Deal
we-
with
we
55
have-
million worth of seedlings.
We have seedlings along we supply to farmers along the river, all the way from BP1 to Malkamari. That is one. All types of seeds, maize, and then the vegetables.
Governor, maize does not come from seedlings.
Yeah, he's a prolific maize eater.
We are
so he
talking about
knows.
seedlings.
You know, it's the coding. It's
Yeah.
the coding. All the farm products we put under that.
If the purchase is seedlings, it cannot be maize seedlings.
Yeah, let's not offend maize.
Okay.
Usiguze mlima.
Nisiguze mahindi.
Usiguze mahindi. Just
Okay,
tell us,
okay.
ini seedlings gani ya 55.9 million in a drought-ravaged county?
It is
That's
not-
the interest
yeah.
that we want to find out.
One time I said during the rains, and even when there's no rains along our river, we farm. I'm sure those of you who have visited Mandera have seen that. Including the schemes, the PP1, we have the PP1 scheme, the RSA scheme, the Chantole schemes, all those schemes we give them seeds.
So if, for example, we left Nairobi to come and oversight the 55.9 million worth of
Yes,
seedlings,
yes.
where do we find them? In the river?
Along the river.
So we just walk along the river, any tree that is growing
Not
is
tree.
a seedling from the county.
No, not really the farms and the schemes. We have schemes.
Okay, so OG, OG, so how did you go about confirming that 55.9 million was indeed spent on seedlings?
Thank you, Chair. As I said, it was up basis, but teams went out, even to the schemes.
Yeah.
And from the report, the seedlings were there.
Interesting, these seedlings of 55 million plus, 55.9 million plus quickly. You know, OAG and the governor, you must give us numbers. Because, and you know, we have agreed maize comes from seed. Some of us, we farm maize, akina Sifuna ndio wanakula. That is, and they eat it very well. I know the time is very serious now. The point I'm trying to make, is it fruit seed? How many farmers? How many acreage? You know, that is the answer we are just looking for.
We have over 6,000 registered farmers. We have it in our inventory. Farmers across Mandera County, both riverlines and rainfields. But the seed and the seedlings, let me put it like that, I'm not a farmer, so I should be forgiven, is we give them all the schemes. They do maize, they do the potatoes, all types of farming along the river.
Governor, we must look at the compass. In accounting, seed are defined as biological assets. So they would not be here.
Yeah.
They would be biological assets. They would not be here. They would be capitalized. So tell us the right story, not the one you are telling us.
And Chair, you know, this is not an idle engagement.
Yes.
There was a time when we were told on Mazingira Day that we had planted 1 billion shillings worth of seedlings. And nobody could trace where those trees were. Because when I hear seedling, I know a tree. I've been to Mandera. I think we were invited to the senator's farm along the river there. They grow fruits, they grow mangoes, they grow all sorts of things. But it is something that is ascertainable. If I give farmers 10,000 avocado seedlings, I should be able to point and say those ones are the trees.
Yeah, they're there. I said it's possible. That's why I responded to the chair. Can be
But
verified.
in accounting, we don't deal with possibility.
So
we deal with facts. Governor, I've just asked you a simple question. How many, you have said this is the farm, how many acreage? Is it in all of your sub-counties? How do you track the 55.9 million that today you can account? You know, Chair, we once listened to a story where a governor from near Kataya's county purchase fingerlings and then went and release it on the rivers and say they swam up and we don't know where they are. So the question, Governor, we want to put the numbers to the value.
It was accurate.
You know the money we are discussing, Governor, 55.9 million can do around 55 ECD classrooms or can do a number of water tracking in the area. So the question is as simple as this. Can you attach the seedlings, the money to seedlings and the seedlings to the farms, to the farmer? And how do you carry out to ensure that these 55 million watt seedlings are accessible or they can be traced to a particular farmer?
Senator,
and what were the yardstick you give to all the farmers?
And I think that's why I started by asking the Auditor General to give us an assurance, because the governor can tell us if he does not have evidence, he'll tell us stories. But the Auditor General is equipped to do an assurance. But from what I'm hearing, whatever you are calling an assurance on water tracking is a desktop sample. Whatever you are calling an assurance on seedlings is a desktop sample or a desktop review. Boots must be on the ground. And this is not an idle conversation, because 55.9 million plus another 32.8 million, that is 90 million, if it was going to be spent on things that cannot be tracked, and yet the county is facing drought, then we'll be irresponsible as a Senate to even continue talking. So, Auditor General, I come to you again. Is it your position that this 32.8 million, 55.9 million, 349 million, 12 million, the Senate should not be concerned? Or should we give you time to do a more comprehensive analysis? Let's hear from the Auditor General first, because if they're comfortable, then we'll give it the benefit of doubt.
Thank you, Chair. I'll invite my principal auditor who was on the ground, because from the report, the amount was supported, the seedlings, and the team went out to the field, and they went even up to Takaba to confirm the same. So, Mr. B.
Issue of seedlings, the ones which were verified are the 3 seedlings which were planted along the highway. Those ones were very... Yes.
Along the highway?
Along
so those could constitute for what percentage of this 55 million? No, Auditor, you are the one who picked that sample. So that sample was like what value?
Like I'm seeing one for 3 million, not the whole amount.
3 million. We are talking 55 million. This county is suffering drought. This county, the governor has chosen to manage emergency response through line item budgets, and we need to find out why, instead of managing it through a fund. And Auditor, you must help us. You are looking like you are not sure whether to be on the side of the governor or on the side of the Senate. You don't have to be on anybody's side. You are an independent institution. You must be on the side of the truth.
And on the side of the people.
So if I'm going to say that the governor did very well by spending 349 million to supply relief food items, would you give us that assurance? Would we be able to stand in public and congratulate the governor that thank you for spending 55 million on trees, thank you for spending 349 million on relief? Would that be supported by the Office of the Auditor General?
Maybe from where I sit, we need to go and confirm. We do confirmation of the seedlings. We do 100% verification.
Well, it does not need to be 100%. Audit has never been 100%. Let's hear from ISPAC.
Yes, Chairman. I think I wanted to maybe to clarify to the auditors, as you say, they are supposed to come out clear. Just an example, for those counties that supply eggs even to the farmers, they first identify the farmers or the groups of women that deserves those particular hatched eggs or chicks for that matter. Then they do analysis and support them. Then they are able to follow up and identify that these chicks have grown into chicken at some particular point. So basically what the senators and the committee wants to know is there was a need for the seedlings. Which type of seedlings were these? Did they identify that these are the trees that are relevant in this region and they will be procured at a certain point? Then they were able to get the supply from a certain point. If you did a sample, then your sample should be representative, that it can now go further. You can even have photo evidences that these are the trees that were now planted at a certain point and they are growing and this is the expected value for the same. I think that is the dilemma we are getting from the audit to confirm that validity. And from a professional perspective, then clearly there is a gap, Chairman, that it is not on the ground that the seedlings are there.
This part, you are the marking scheme as a professional body. You are the one who provides the marking
professional
scheme,
bodies, we are getting interesting feedback from our members that they are not able to ensure that we get value for the money or even follow the due process.
Chair, I think the ISPAC, I have a lot of respect for him, but he's completely out of order. He's trying to...
I am the one who declares people out of order, not you.
What he's saying is that he's already declaring that there's no value for money, and yet he's not...
No, order, Governor.
Yeah.
We shall not allow anyone to cast aspersions on the professional body, especially non-members of the profession. Yeah. So please prosecute your point without casting aspersions on this.
Number one, thank you, Chair. On cash transfer, there is no cash transfer. The 12 million was actually money given to the orphanage in Mandera Islamic Center. So we support the orphanage and we give them 12 million per year. I wanted that to be clear. On the issue of seedlings, we are not talking about only seedlings. Under the CFS coding, the GFS coding, all the farm products or the support we give to farmers are under that code, whether it is seeds and seedlings and anything. When I mention about seedlings, we give apple mango to our people, we give avocado, and all of them are there along the river. It's not along the road. We don't plant farms along the road. I think there's something not adding up.
So
I can confirm.
Governor, at that point,
and then
at that point,
yes.
we seem to be on the same page,
yes.
Because I'm struggling to understand the approach taken by the auditor. Because if you say this 55 million was not just seedlings, it included seed, then they should go beyond the highway. They must go beyond the highway to provide that.
Actually, not the highway. We have farms and schemes along the river, and we have over 6,000 registered farmers, which we have their details, whether they are farms along the river or they are farms off the river. That's the rain-fed farms. And we do distribution along those rivers. So it is not only on seedlings. It is all the farm product that we give to our farmers is coded under that line.
Now, Senator Dulo.
Chair, I think this question, we should put it to the auditors. Because since devolution, we've been having this issue of seedlings bought.
But it has to be there.
And they are washed away by the river, or they have failed. These issues are there. Or maybe goats, cows bought, they have died. And I think as auditors, you should come up with a strategy of how you are going to audit those strategies put in place by, more specifically, northern Kenya and people within the agricultural area. Unless you do that, then we'll be having these stories where the money is spent is not accounted for. So I'm putting this to you, Patrick, especially at the headquarters. Can you help the country, the Senate, and the Kenyans? I thank you.
Patrick?
Thank you, Chairman.
Chair, let me Chair, yesterday we had a similar situation where we had an issue to do with our technicians. Chair, we rely entirely on the ONG because they are the prosecutors. So on this case, Chair, we are getting some narrations without evidence. Seedlings are something physical. And I'm expecting maybe to have found some evidence maybe from the photos, even the data from the agriculture department. What you are getting is just literature. That we spent 55 million on seedlings, which is not something that you cannot verify. These things are physical, these are supposed to have some data. So I think without castigating the OAG, I think they need to get serious and assist this committee move forward.
Okay, I think OAG, then we give directions because we need to move.
Maybe before Pat talks, it's good because now it's like we are on the dock. But Chair, we gather evidence and we document in what we call teammate platform. So whatever we are saying, we have backed in our what we call audit working papers. The client may not have documented in their responses because we rely on what we see on the ground. We send people to the ground. Issue of seedlings and the seeds, the feeding program and what have you, out of these, some of those sub-counties, and they gather information and they also document evidence. But I cannot give 100% assurance that you can count for the 55 million. But on a sample basis, what we have documented, what we have witnessed, can give us that level of assurance. Thank you, Chair.
So, no, Patrick, you wanted to say something because we need to take a position on this and agree on how you...
I just wanted to comment on the issue of providing that assurance, and the director has mentioned about it, but I can see from the system, auditors were able to look at how the contracts were awarded, who was being paid, the payment vouchers, how the deliveries were done, how the materials were received. That has been done. But what I'm getting from the officer who was on the ground is that these documents came last week. And when we were looking at the documents in the morning, Chairman, I saw some of the copies are ineligible. And if these are the copies that he got, Chairman, maybe you can make a decision and guide the auditors to go back to the ground and be able to verify and then come back to your committee, Chairman.
I think
so this matter is not closed.
Yes, I think Patrick, you have just made the right suggestion because we are alive to the fact that there are certain issues at the National Youth Service of a similar nature, where the paperwork is perfect, but it is alleged by the ESCC that deliveries were not made. We are not making similar allegations on the part of Mandera, and that's why I asked the auditor to give us the assurance. Without the assurance of the auditor, it would be difficult for us to confirm that the seedlings were delivered, the relief food was delivered, the water was tracked, and the $500 million worth of educational benefits were delivered. And perhaps maybe the auditor did not think about it that broadly when they were doing the audit, but it is possible for us to ask the auditor to go back and do a special audit, particularly on that particular line. Now, the reason why we picked this is obviously, this is a line where you budget for your response to drought, since you don't have a fund. The reason why we are here is you are non-conformance, because if this was in a fund, we'll be discussing this in a separate meeting for the emergency fund statement. But now we have to discuss it as a line budget item. And I hope in 2025, 2026, this practice is going to stop. Now, we are concerned if this is being run by the CCs and CEOs and different points and different centers, then accountability becomes slippery, as it is right now. Because I'm sure for seedlings, you might point us to the agriculture guy. For education, you might point us to the education guy. And for water tracking, you might point us to the water tracking guy. But if there's a fund administrator, it becomes one central point. Please, this provision was in the PFM 10 years ago. It is inexcusable that today you don't have it. So I think we will also reprimand the county for not doing that. But we demand a thorough audit of that expenditure. Now, Governor, you may have appeared before the devolution committee in the month of around February 2023. Senator Mohamed Chute had requested for a statement regarding the acquisition and distribution of relief supplies from the County Revenue Fund by the county government of Marsabit and neighboring county governments. And that inquiry extended to other counties, including Marsabit, Wajir, Turkana, Samburu, Isiolo, and Mandera counties. The devolution committee, having considered the submissions that you made before them, reached the conclusion that the issues raised require an in-depth analysis and audit query to further investigate the diversion of allocations for development for the purpose of purchasing relief food. This falls within the mandate of the County Public Accounts Committee, and therefore the devolution committee recommended that the matter be directed to the County Public Accounts Committee for further consideration. I want to take up that challenge from the devolution committee and in the specific case, ask the Auditor General for a thorough analysis on the expenditure on relief, expenditure on emergency response, expenditure on the educational support and educational benefits, And we'll agree. And I think since you're not very busy, I believe this is something you can achieve in the next 30 or 60 days. We'll agree on the scope. We'll agree on the timing. Members, if we don't resolve this, if we go ahead and start talking about one-third salary rule, and talk about ethnic diversity in Mandera, and talk about employment of persons with disability, very, very important. But if we don't provide assurance to the public and the people of Mandera that expenditure in relation to emergency and drought is above board, we will be wasting the time and resources of taxpayers. The only other matter that I thought we could give some attention as we wait for that detailed report, and then we'll call the governor to respond, is on pending bills. And Governor, you might miss the first part of your dedication, but we can spend 10 minutes on pending bills.
There are 15 minutes to prayers.
There are 15 minutes to prayers.
Yeah.
Chair, can I propose a way forward? Since we don't have clarity on the issue of, as you have directed on the issue of seedlings of 55 million, 49 and 382.3 million on relief services, you can direct that the OAG goes and gives us the breakdown and accountability of that amount, including the transfer that to the orphanages. How many are they? Because here it is indicated orphans of 12 million Kenya shillings, which is a more relevant and serious issue for Mandera. Chair, it would not make sense to go to trade payables or the pending bills, as they say now, because most likely they are still attached to the expenses that were done under relief services, because they are interconnected.
Okay, I think the mood of my members is to allow the governor to fulfill his religious obligation. And then that means, clerk, the next time we schedule Mandera, let's be careful not to schedule the county on a Friday. I think just being sensitive to...
Maybe, Chair, any other county that the governor is a Muslim, so don't put it on Friday.
So I don't want any message to go out that the governor has had a free pass. It's just that concern. It's no free pass. We are still going to have an appointment. During that appointment, you will also need to, and please take note of this because this is a question we are going to ask. On pending bills, we have done a trend analysis. In 2020-2021, you had 890 million in terms of pending bills. In 2021-2022, it grew to 1.7 billion. In 22-23, it grew to 3 billion. In 23-24, it went down to 2 billion. And in the period under review, it went back up to 3.5 billion. We have another county appearing before subcommittee with pending bills of 180 million. We cannot, it is unacceptable to have 3.5 billion of payments locked up in the county government, payments that are due to people who have done work for the county government. So this is a matter that we'll delve into a lot of detail when you reappear before us, as you also consider the expenditure on these items. And for avoidance of doubt, because sometimes the media might misreport us, what we are asking the Auditor General to do is to do a more thorough investigation on the 349 million spent on relief food, 32.8 million spent on tracking of water, 55.9 million spent on seedlings, and 459.9 million spent on education, as 12 million that the governor has indicated was a transfer to orphans and a transfer to the children's home. I think if we deal with those two issues, the rest of the bookkeeping, IPSA's issues are neither here nor there. I will adjourn the meeting to allow the delegation to proceed. I hope we apologize for infringing on your religious obligations. Unless there's anything you want to say, Governor.
Thank you. Not really much. And the only thing is about the seeding and the seedling. I think the coding, and they will discuss with the team. And we are ready to avail all the documentation. And on bending bill, then I leave my comment. I defer my comment in the next meeting.
Very
because
good.
I have something to say about that.
Okay, honorable members, do we agree that we adjourn? We shall communicate the date of the next meeting, having agreed with the Auditor General on when they'll be able to prepare that in-depth analysis. To the people of Mandera, with you in this period of drought, and you can count on the support of the rest of the country. Mandera is part of Kenya, and when Mandera suffers, Kenya suffers. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.